Okay, we are officially at 8:30 p.m. My name is Ron. I'm an alcoholic. A couple quick announcements. This group has an ongoing commitment every Sunday night at the treatment center, about 60 people inpatient. If you'd like to come out and be a speaker, we could use you. If you'd like to get involved with that, please see me after the meeting. We schedule it every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Another thing is that we're actually donating 150 big books to them next week for the people that are in there, trying to give them, it's amazing how you can go to a treatment center and speak and ask them, do you have a big book? In the whole treatment center, you can't find a big book anymore. It's powerful. For what are they charging? What are they charging? 30 grand a month, and you can't give them a $12 book, big book. So we try to furnish these things to these guys because we try to bring them a message of hope and recovery, just like we try to do here every week. A consistent message of hope and recovery through God's reliance and service to others, through the practice and the teaching of the 12 steps. And we like to have fun with it too. So if you're not having fun with it, come see us after the meeting. Come before the meeting. Our sister group is a big book study on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. right up the street. And if you're not enjoying sobriety and you're not having fun, see us. Talk to us, please. We absolutely insist on having fun with this. And hopefully you will. We got Nick up here. Let's welcome Nick as our chairperson tonight. Let's have some fun.
Welcome to the Conscious Contact Speaker of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Nick and I am an alcoholic. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting. It meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street at 8:30 p.m. in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Food and fellowship starts at 8 p.m. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 right here. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teaching of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name?
Hi, I'm Derek.
Yo, Derek, welcome. Welcome. All right, welcome to everybody. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. Are there any announcements for the good of AA? I have one announcement. There is a new meeting starting in Quakertown on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. The first kickoff meeting will be May 3rd. It's at the First Church of the Brethren on Trumbarrelsville Road. If you want information about that, it's a big book meeting, big book breakdown meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, starting in May. We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of big books and CDs to help those who can't afford them can put donations on the jar on the table marked Big Book and CD Donations. And just another quick announcement, we have the sweatshirts, a couple t-shirts left. If anybody's a 4XL, we got one for you. And okay, if anyone would like a CD of any speaker, past or present, please see me or any home group member after the meeting, and they are available free of charge. And now with that, I have Sherry to come up and read the AA preamble.
Hi, I'm Sherry, I'm an alcoholic. The AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We're self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politic, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. I've asked Michelle to come up and read the AA 12 Steps of Recovery.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle and I'm an alcoholic. The AA 12 Steps of Recovery. Step 1. We admitted that we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2. came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
The seventh tradition. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supported, inclining outside contributions. At this time, I'd like to pass the baskets. We have no dues or fees, but we do have expenses, and this group provides many services. Your donations cover rent, big books, CDs, events, and workshops. There is absolutely no smoking on church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, to introduce the speaker, a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group, Matt S. from Maryland.
Hi, I'm Matt Stout. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Matt.
Thank you for the water. Didn't think I needed it till that moment, so thank you so much. Ron told me to have fun, which I guess the home group really is saying have fun. So I'm going to undo my top button on my shirt. It's just really bothering me, and I couldn't get my tie right in the bathroom, so we're just going to... The tape can't tell, so we're going to do that. I am glad to be here with all of you. From Baltimore. Rode up today. My home group is called the Firing Line. We're a line-by-line big book study there in Baltimore City on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. So if ever you want to come and hang out and make the, what I learned today, 3-hour drive to Baltimore City and meet some of us and be with us, we'd love to have you. I know a couple of you have already been down, and we'd love to see you there. It's good to be here. Like walking into to your meeting tonight through the wrong door, apparently. There's a music in the room, and I just want to thank the home group for having me and for keeping the doors open and creating a space like this for a guy like me to go. Because for a long time, AA seemed like extra credit. You know what I mean? For me. I'm an alcoholic, and always have been. There was never a time in my life where I was sort of walking my way into alcoholism. I just sort of came out the gate with it, it seems like. And all of us have kind of different stories and paths with that. But I'll kind of tell you a little bit about mine. And I guess that's really my job tonight. It's just to, in a general way, kind of tell you what it was like, what happened, and then what it's like now. And I think for a long time, the what happened, I always mistook to mean like the last day of drinking. You know what I mean? Like the event that wrestled me into a state of reasonableness, which is true. There is some truth to that. It's just like the what happened refers to that. But it also, I think refers to what happens as a result of the 12 steps to a dying guy or a dying gal. When there's no shot left, when every human power has failed, and even the alcoholic himself can see that, and that's what happened to me. But I will tell you that alcohol and lots of other stuff were the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And at 13 years old, me and a buddy, also named Matt, snuck out of our parents' houses and went down to the local elementary school and found a little cubbyhole behind the elementary school. Matt had mixed some vodka and some whiskey into a Listerine bottle, and we commenced to drink that concoction, which I don't recommend. And then the effect produced by alcohol hit me, and it hit the other Matt simultaneously. But we seem to have two different experiences. I got that thing, man. I got it. And some of you can relate to that. Where it's just what happened to me that night in that cubbyhole was not what happened to Matt. The other Matt, to be clear, Matt started vomiting. Matt started saying things like, dude, we shouldn't have drank this much. Matt started saying things like, I gotta go home. And I'm 3 feet away from him having an entirely different experience where I'm like, wow. Dude, if God made anything better than this, He kept it for Himself. Because this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And I didn't realize how uncomfortable I was until I got comfortable at last. It's I didn't know. How do you know you're asleep until you wake up? You know? And something powerful happened to me in that cubbyhole. Now, I am an alcoholic, and I have that thing, and I have the allergy that we talk about in the doctor's opinion. And so, from the first night, that night on, I went way past the mark, which is kind of my story, you know? Went way past the mark, stumbled my way home, found my way back into my house somehow, left the back door open, of course, vomited all over myself, of course, woke up the next day with a hangover that few have experienced, I think. And my parents, being good parents that they are, took me to church that night, which was interesting because we never went to church. You know what I mean? It was just, I guess that was kind of their way of attacking whatever this sheepish situation on the floor was, which was their 13-year-old son, you know? And they took us to church that night. The whole family. My brother was pissed. He was like, yo, you're making me go to church because this kid, you know. And it was 5 o'clock mass, you know what I mean? So it was later in the day. It had been about 12 hours since the last drink or so, maybe 13, 14. And sitting in that church, the hangover itself and the blinding dizziness of the hangover started to edge off a little bit, you know? And as I was sitting in the pews or whatever, and the guy was talking, you know, the priest was talking up there, something else kind of came over me. Because hours before, I was saying to myself and to God, I will never do this again, the way I feel. And then a few hours later, as the hangover was wearing off, it was I can't wait to do that again. You know? So fast forward 15. So that was the first one. You know what I'm saying? And it only got weirder from there. It wasn't like I went on some excelling path of, you know, oh wow, he did well in school, and oh, he considered a career path. It's no, dude. I just was born with it, and it just got stranger quicker from there. And so fast forward to 2015, I get separated from alcohol and the other stuff. And I'm really clear, after a dramatic event one more time, after blowing my life up one more time, after almost killing my mother with the behavior I was exhibiting one more time, it was that was pretty clear. I probably should not drink, you know? And so 2015 rolls around, and I get separated from alcohol. And one thing is clear, it's I really shouldn't be drinking. Okay, got it. Not going to do that. So I commence to not drink and choose to not drink. And I go on for about a year, And then another year, choosing not to drink. I even went to a couple meetings during that time. Didn't get down with the 12-step thing or the sponsors or any of that stuff. That seemed really kind of like, that seemed like extra credit, really. You know what I mean? I was just going to hang back on that stuff. But I stayed separated for a couple years. And around that time, these couple guys that I was working with came to me and said, Matt, we want to start this company in Colorado Springs, and we want you to come with us. And I'm like, well, it's about time, guys. You know? It's about time I had arrived. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm one of those guys. You know? Well, we'll get to that. So, me and these guys, we start this company up in Colorado Springs. Peace out, Baltimore. I got to get on to bigger and better things, you know? Now, there is nothing wrong with doing anything or going anywhere. As a person with alcoholism, though, it seemed like the best thing for me to do was to be anywhere other than where I was most of the time, you know? And so Colorado Springs seemed like the right thing on the menu. So I pack up my little Hyundai and we hit the open road, you know what I'm saying? And I land out in Colorado Springs, and I don't realize what's happening to me at the time. I don't have a language for it, but it seemed like being sober for 2 years plus, it seemed like I was getting worse, not better. You know what I'm saying? Things outside of me were looking good. We're starting a company, you know. But it felt like I was doing time. It's just like, oh, God. You know, I became like aware of people's breathing after 2 years. You know what I mean? I could just hear, God, that man, you breathe like that, dude? You know what I mean? Like I was just off the hook, you know? I was becoming more and more identified with my mind the more sober I got. You know what I'm saying? And I'm choosing not to drink, and I'm choosing not to drink. And every day I wake up and I choose not to drink, you know? Because I'm clear on that one piece. It's like, don't put it in you, man. And so we start this company up in Colorado Springs, and it turns out like I didn't actually want to start a company. You know what I mean? It was just like I wanted to say I started a company and get some of the swag. You know what I'm saying? And put some stuff on Facebook. Just be like, yeah, we started to get the money that like a successful business would bring about. But I didn't actually want to do the work or put in the the effort. You know what I mean? To make this thing go. But here we are in Colorado Springs starting this company up. You know, and so me and my choosing not to drink decides to, you know, I gotta get out in the world, man. I gotta feel better than I do right now all the time. You know what I mean? This is alcoholism, and I'm completely sober, and I gotta feel better. So I decide that what I need to do is to meet some people. You know, I'm in this new place, in this new city. I gotta meet some people, and so I hop onto what would end up being my first and last experience with internet dating. Okay, and we hop on the little Bumble app, and we match up on the internet, and I meet this girl, and we go downtown Colorado Springs to this taco place. Now, this taco place also happened to have a bar. Now, in that 2 years plus, I've been to 1,000 places with 1,000 bars, you know, choosing not to drink. Love going to see live music. There's always a bar. I'm choosing not to drink. I'm a sober guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm choosing not to drink, you know? And so we meet down at this taco place in downtown Colorado Springs. This girl from the internet. And we sit down, and we get to talking. Where you been? Just moved here from Baltimore. And the waitress comes over. She says, what can I get for you guys? And now I woke up that day choosing not to drink. And I drove down to that bar in downtown Colorado Springs, taco place in downtown Colorado Springs, choosing not to drink. And the waitress says, what do you have? The girl says, olive margarita. And out of the corner of my mouth dribbled, me too. Just like that. Just like tumbled out of it. There was no playing the tape through. You know, there was no thinking my way through the drink. It was just like, olive margarita, me too. And in that moment, it seemed like the curtains closed. I'm more sober than I've ever been in my life. You know what I mean? I'm just bone dry. And it seemed like all I could hear now was the waitress's footsteps walking over to the bar. Now, I'm talking to this girl directly, like, just moved here, we started this company, la, 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 la. And I could hear the whipping of the blender out of the side of my face over here. And I could hear the clinking of the glass over here. I'm looking directly at this girl, but all I can hear over here, completely sober. And I can hear the footsteps of the waitress coming back. And she puts the margarita down on the table. And I took a drink. Now, so drop that cap. I got a drink in me now. Now, I did not wake up that day thinking I would blow my life up in a dramatic fashion. I didn't wake up that day thinking I would lose all my shares in the business and almost make them, the guys I started with, lose their shares because of my conduct, which I did. I didn't think I would end up living in my Hyundai, which I did. I just woke up that day and chose not to drink, and I got drunk. So it's like, what are we talking about around here? I seem like I'm... The one thing I know not to do is the one thing I can't pull off. The very thing that the doctor's opinion suggests to us as the only method of recovery we have to suggest is complete abstinence. That's the one thing I cannot pull off. I can until I can't, you know? And so, took the margarita, and the margarita took a margarita, and then la-da-da-da-da. We know how the story goes from here. And like I said, I ended up blowing my life up in an incredible fashion there in Colorado Springs one more time, you know. And decided it's about time to get out of Colorado, you know what I'm saying? And, lost the apartment, lost the stuff. We pack up my little Hyundai with everything I could, and it's about time to hit the open road, you know what I'm saying? And so the plan was to get from Colorado Springs to Orange Beach, Alabama. I don't know why I'm doing this. I feel like it would help if there was a map, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going from Colorado Springs to Orange Beach, Alabama, which is about a day and a half trip in a Hyundai Elantra. I checked. Now, the plan was to get from there in about a day and a half, and a friend of mine was going to meet me at her door and nurse me back to health, considering my physical state, which was not well. Now, the problem was is that I hadn't paid the cell phone bill, and so I didn't have a GPS. And on top of the alcohol, I was also injecting methamphetamine, which has this way of making you super focused on the wrong stuff, you know. So I end up getting super focused on the wrong stuff, you know what I'm saying? I end up getting lost in Oklahoma and turned around, and I couldn't get out of Texas, guys. I could not get out. I just kept running in circles around Texas. It seemed like forever. Dead tags, no insurance, avoiding highways, you know what I'm saying? I just end up in Oklahoma back, but just no idea. Using road maps, stuck at McDonald's for hours, just like, where am I? You know, finally, Louisiana, Mississippi, wash ashore. So it was supposed to take me a day and a half. It took me 10 days to get from Colorado Springs to Orange Beach, Alabama, which was not the plan that day when I went down to have tacos with a girl from the internet. You know? So I have alcoholism. I will drink again, whether I want to or not. I don't have the power of choice. I would have chose it if I could have chose it, and I couldn't choose it, man. It's like I can until I can't. And one of the hardest things I come up against when I come to you guys is like this idea that although I seemingly can make, it's generous, but like somewhat rational decisions around most areas of my life, when it comes to alcohol, I'm a dead battery. There's no power. And so I land ashore, she nurses me back to health, and I come to you all. And the first thing I end up coming in touch with is a guy carrying this book. Seemed really excited about it. He also seemed it seemed like he knew something. You know? And not in some way where it's just like, I know, it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like something in my spirit hurt his spirit. He carried a message to me that went past my mind and like went down into my gut and hasn't left yet. Which is like, to be powerless over alcohol is like, sober or not, I don't have the power to choose, you know? Like I said, like choosing not to drink got me drunk. It's like, what are we talking about here, you know? And he pointed out to me that what I was experiencing after being separated from alcohol for so long was this part of the illness that we meet in the first step too, this unmanageability, what some would call the spiritual malady. But really, it just feels like, man, just being sober, I get worse, not better. I become more identified with my mind. It seems like suddenly I become hyperly aware of everyone's facial expressions and what I think they think of me, and I start reading minds, and suddenly the boss doesn't treat me right, you know, or I could run the place better, and you know, suddenly she doesn't love me even though she says she loves me. It's just like the mind. Over and over and over again. It seems like it's trying to kill me, really. And so you guys start walking me through this process we have here in the 12 steps. And the guy that sponsors me is, he made a couple things really clear. One was that, like, buddy, like, going to meetings is good, but we need to be doing this, referring to the steps. He was like, your meter making butt has made a lot of meetings. What we need to start looking at is the steps, and where are we there? So, like, what happens to me when I'm drinking? And what happens to me when I'm not? Do I experience those queer mental blank spots? The queer mental twist? Do I find myself drunk having not intending to be drunk? You know? And then, like, new thought. Our lives have become unmanageable. It's like, what's sober feel like to you when you're just hanging out being sober? That was the part that I always didn't understand when I would see you guys in here laughing. I was like, how is on a Saturday night at 8:30 are these people hanging out here not drinking and happy about it? Because that's not possible, you know. You either don't have what I have, or you're lying. And I would sit in meetings like this and like really feel like it's either one or the other, and neither helps me because you don't have what I have. But that very same thought brings us to this like second step idea. It's just like, dude, like if you don't have power, like if really like, Matt, like if you were going to fix you, you would have fixed you. So why haven't you fixed you? Maybe there's no power. Maybe you need some power. And he didn't like spend too much time trying to break down what power could look like or what the name of it was. It was just like, nah, man, like you need some power. Let's get some power, dude. And then we turn ourselves into the third step, and it reminds me of this time in my life where we were just talking about it at the door a little bit. Kind of this like third step. It's just like to really like make a decision like that. It's like the third step decision and the third step itself was like a pretty much like a redirection of sorts. And it reminds me of when I was a kid. And my dad would try to get us involved in stuff. You know what I mean? Like he would try to get us involved. I liked music, man. Like I wasn't really interested in sports. I tried to, you know what I mean? It just wasn't good for anybody to like see me out playing sports. But I was able to play some music and pick instruments up and kind of understand them, you know? But before I was able to find instruments, about 5 years old, my dad took me and my brother to wrestling practice. We're going to join a wrestling team, okay? Now, I'm not a tough guy, and I certainly wasn't when I was 5 years old, okay? And I was 5 years old in that wrestling ring being like, this is bullshit. Like, this is not okay. I don't like this. And my dad brings us in there, and we start going to wrestling practice, dude. And it leads us up to this competition where we got to wrestle other kids, you know, for points, you know. And I already hate wrestling enough, and then there we are. And so we're at this wrestling match. Our dad brings us to it. My brother's kind of into it, you know. He's psyched. I'm not, you know. And it's my turn to go. Now, my brain has a way of dramatizing things at certain times, but as I remember it 25 years later now, is when I got out on the mat, dude, my scrawny little 5-year-old butt was, what stood before me was like a mountain of a man, okay? And like, that was my competitor. I'm like 5 years old. I'm like, what do you do? What is this? You know what I mean? Like, you actually want me to go? And so here stands this mountain of a guy, apparently also 5 years old, you know, okay? And it's like time to like wrestle. I barely paid attention in practice. You know what I mean? I'm standing there in my little like leotard thing. I'm like, I know this is bullcrap. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be here, you know? But I want to make my dad proud. Dad loved wrestling. He grew up wrestling. I'm 5 years old. I know I'll make Dad proud. I certainly want to shove it in my brother's face. You know what I mean? And so there we are. It's time to go. Now, someone like said go or whatever. I don't know how you start wrestling matches. This was my last experience with wrestling as well, okay? But something somehow started it, okay? And we get out in the ring, dude, and we go at it. Now, it felt like Madison Square Garden, dude, out in the stands, right? Just like, you know, and all I can hear, we're going at each other, dude. And this dude immediately yoinks me up and gets me down on the mat. You know what I'm saying? It was pretty quick, you know. And all I can hear is the screaming in the stands. You know, really, it was like 10 parents and my brother. You know what I mean? But it felt like 1,000 people. You know. And I just want to make my dad proud, dude. I just want to get a move on this guy, man. I just want to. And so every bone in my body. This guy's got me down on the mat, dude. And the thing about wrestling, I guess, again, there's probably more seasoned experience or knowledgeable wrestlers or fans in this room that could tell me better. But the thing about it is, like, in order to lose or win, you have to pin the other guy down all the way onto the mat for a period of 3 seconds or whatever, which means like head down, legs down, you know, down. All right? And so my method now at this point is I'm just going to not put my head down, you know? And so I'm fighting back at this guy with everything I have, dude. Everything in me is saying, don't give up. Don't give in. Everything inside me. I can hear my brother over there saying whatever he's saying, you know. Madison Square Garden, still going, Don't give up, man. I am fighting back at this guy. And then through the crowd, and through the noise, and through the scuffling, I could hear my dad's voice coming through into my right ear from over here. I can't see him, I can hear him. And he says, lay it out, son. Lay it out. In the instant, I just laid down on the mat. Every bit of this, my mind telling me that Dad's going to be disappointed if you don't, your brother's going to be blah, blah, blah if you don't. It matters that you win. It matters that you fight back. Put all your effort into that. All that noise instantly slipped away as soon as I laid out on the mat. The match was over. Dad was proud. We're 5, dude. You know? We're 5. And all of that noise was gone from me. Instant relief. I spent all this time trying to fix the problem with the problem. All this time trying to fix me with me. Trying to combat the problem by going at the problem. And the problem always got back at me. And this third step turned me away from trying to resolve the problem and directed all my attention towards this solution idea. And the problem itself seemed to fall away like that. Relief came. Dad was proud. But everything in me told me to not give up. And the moment I do with y'all in this third step is really like right-sizing myself, you know? It's just like, dude, like, okay, 1, if I got alcoholism, there better be a God or else I'm screwed. 2, I need power. Got it. 3, third step decision. It's just like, all right, man, yo, I have failed. I work for you now. If you're there, I'm your guy, you know? And then we take this directional turn into the rest of the steps. Launch is the words I use in that 4th step, you know what I mean? My sponsor was real clear with me. He's like, launch means launch, you know? So we start writing down all this stuff in the 4th, man. Now, I thought I was a pretty nice guy. You know? I didn't feel too angry. We start looking at these resentments, these fears, the way I treated people in the conduct inventory. One of my biggest resentments was my brother. My older brother. He's a fireman. We didn't speak for 4 years. If you had asked me why we didn't speak, I would say because he's mean to me, first of all, And if you'd asked him, he would have said something along the lines of, well, 12 rehabs is a bit much, Something along those lines, Something along the lines of, well, Uncle Matt ruins Christmases. I don't want my kids around Uncle Matt. Things like that. Uncle Matt's a danger to himself and others, clearly. He's unpredictable. We don't want him around. And he's killing our mother, and since they won't stop talking to him, someone has to hold the line. Now, I walk into this inventory convinced that he's the one creating the divisions in our family. I hadn't been to Christmas in years. Nor had my family, my parents, been able to have both of their sons in the same room at one time. And that was growing like a tumor. And I'm walking into this resentment inventory prepared to present my case. And we start to look at like Matt, is it possible that, maybe your brother is actually the courageous one here, holding the line between you and your family. Maybe it's really hard for him to tell your mother that, Mom, I'm sorry, me and the kids aren't coming over for Christmas if Matt's there. Maybe to take a stand against this illness in its most physical form is one of the scariest things for someone to do, though it may not look like it from the alcoholic's view. I have no idea what it took for my brother to stand up to our family like that and to hold the line. And I get free of this poison that's killing me, that I've somehow justifiably been wronged there. When we move on and we start looking at all these things that are keeping me spiritually sick, the things that are blocking me from this idea of God, from the power behind the name God. There's too much of me on me all the time. Inventory is a powerful spiritual tool. I thought it was going to be like homework, It's not. It's this wonderful, instant tool to get me off of me just far enough for God to do His thing, to slip in and throw some power in there. And some of the things that have made me sick for years, since I was a kid, left me in my first fifth step. And I continue to return to the inventory process, to the fifth step process, 6 and 7, to be rid of more and to show more of where I fail, God goes, let's roll. And then rolling into 6 and 7, man, it's interesting, I heard this guy talking recently that, it could be argued that step 6 and 7 are where the entire program is really balanced off of. That the whole deal is about God doing what God's going to do with us to make us useful to others. And that happens in 6 and 7, though it doesn't get a lot of street cred because it's only 2 paragraphs in the book, And the argument was kind of beautiful. It's just no, actually all the magic happens in 6 and 7. We finally really lean into this idea that I have failed once again. I've tried self-reliance. I have tried running the show. I have tried that. And I need you now more than I did back then even. And more strips away, And then in the 8th step, we start my sponsor, he's one of those guys that he's what does the word all mean to you, Matt? Because to me, all means all, I'm all right, man, relax. So, sponsor guys, can be a little intense sometimes, And then in the direct amends process, man, it's I met the hand of God there. That's my story. That's my experience. That's what happened to me. And it wasn't in some of the more intense or special dramatic amends that have occurred, It happened walking home from a woman's house who was always very kind to me that I owed $1,200 to. I paid her the $1,200, went through the amends process, and was walking home. And something in my spirit shifted that day and hasn't left. Something woke up that was not awake before. And the direct amends process continues to be where and how I continue to see God, the very God that I turn my will and life over to in 3. It seems to be that's where the power really shows off the most, and I get right-sized even more. And then at the 10th step, it's just like, it's like the ego is like, it's like designed to protect me, I guess, but it really fails me. It's like it thinks it knows what's best for me. You know what I mean? And so the 10th step is like this tool to like combat the ego. You know what I mean? Because I think I know some stuff, and I think I know what's best, and and now I'm in AA, and I think I know what's best in my home group, and like just like this constant deflating of the ego to be made useful again with you guys and outside of here more specifically. And then the 11th step, taking time in the morning, taking time at night, taking time throughout the day to pause, because I move quick sometimes. I got alcoholism, and sometimes I just get moving a little too quick. And like the pause is like this. No wonder I drank again in Colorado. I see now. It's like my mind really is trying to kill me. So I wake up in the morning, and if I don't get quiet, it gets weird quick for me. That's me. In the 12th step, we start taking guys through the steps, and bringing this stuff into our houses and into our jobs. Doing our best to try to carry the message. Fail, try again. Fall off the beam, back on it. I have some recent experience where it's like, the spiritual experience, however we want to characterize that in your personal journey, like the ones I've had to now will not feed me tomorrow. I have some current experience with that. Over the last couple months, I got moved, my position at work changed. And it went from one thing to another. And it came with different titles and scary words like director. You know what I mean? Guys, words that like guys like me really probably shouldn't be, rocking with too often. Manager, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff, I move into this position, and the thing about like self-reliance is that it like feels really good sometimes. Like it's like something about being like being in like that steam of self, and you're just like going. It can feel really good until the day it doesn't, And so I slipped away from y'all. I was going to my home group, and I was checking with sponsor man. You know what I mean? I was doing a little bit of here, a little bit of there, guys I sponsor, But man, all I could think about was my job. All I could think about was my job. I was obsessed. And believe me, I'm not the guy who's like, that ain't me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really, not before at least, never really cared too much about my job, title, work, but here we are. Now, all of a sudden, it seems like I'm just wrapping around my job, and all I can think about, oh gosh, I need to manage everything over here, and if this, and creating scenarios in my mind, and I care what people think about me, and so I gotta exert myself more. The world would be pleased if I just managed well. And it felt good, looked good, kind of seemed to be doing good until the day I woke up and it wasn't. And it was just like, it was on me, man. And I felt like I was just far away from Alcoholics Anonymous enough. Like my feet were in the meeting, but man, my heart was out in the parking lot. And my mind was back at work. It was kind of a scary spot. Because this is home. I need you all. To not die, I need this to be a place I come and sit down all the way in. And I was just far away enough from that I didn't know how do I get back, My sponsor had been asking me for weeks, how you doing, man? What's going on? And I was oh, doing great, Work's going good, sponsor's doing good, And I almost felt like I couldn't, how do you, look, Jack, sponsor guy, I'm not doing well. I feel pretty lonely in AA. And I feel pretty lonely outside of AA. And all I can think about is my job. And I don't seem to be able to pull away from that. So the beauty of this thing is it's just like it seems like a second or a crack of just a little bit of truth can like lead to a flood of like some further action back into the steps. Once again, turning away from the problem into the solution, because it's a bone in my body to always go towards the problem and try to fix the problem. It's like, I just self-reliance and all that stuff. I just it's like what being driven means, Like our book talks about it in the fear inventory, I believe. It's like driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion. So it's like, driven means I'm not driving. So it's like, of course I'm going to end up in spots like this. Of course I am. And hopefully, of course I'm going to turn back to Alcoholics Anonymous and be guided back into the palm of this like beautiful thing we have here. Where like we get free of the mind and like get free of these ideas and get stripped more in 6 and 7 like I'm talking about. Become closer to you all over time, even if I step away. Get closer to God in a personal way. And to see you and like allow you your path and to be a part of that and to recognize what a joy that is. And to thank you from the bottom of my heart for like being a part of mine, even when I get wonky. This is AA. This is not the honors club. Like this is, you know what I mean? We're a bunch of like dead people walking around living like these rock star lives. When I met my brother at a bar for our men's conversation, which I thought was poetic, That's where he wanted to meet. I was like, good, man. That's where we'll meet. It took a while for him to agree. One of his first responses was something along the lines of like, I don't see what's in that for me, and I'm not going to do it for you. Was one of his first responses to me. 4 years we hadn't spoken. We met at the bar and we had a conversation. I came with my little amends card with all my little bullet points of whatever, and he was like, I don't want to see that shit. I don't want that. He's like, I want to tell you what it's like to be your brother. Which, when he first said that, was pretty scary. It's like, oh, wait, what about my amends card, man? It's my turn to talk. Like I want to try to make this into something. It's just like, I just want to tell you what it's been like to be your brother to this moment. And to let you know that I loved you and have loved you every minute since before to now. But loving you is impossible. And it's scary because you disappear. You get lost in Arkansas. For real, Loving you is kind of shoddy at best. He's like, I was the one, Matt, who sat with our mother when she cried when you would disappear for those months on end, I was the one when you were revived on bathroom floors who had to walk our mother back to her car out of the ER department shaking. And I was the one who felt really alone most of the time when they were still taking your calls and not taking mine because Matt's sick and I'm mean. And he reminded me about this trip that we had planned when I was 18 years old. He had planned, really, for us to go to Ireland. Now, I was actively growing into alcoholism. I ended up ruining our shot and did not get to go to Ireland because of some things that transpired, of course. And I completely forgot about it for, 12 years or whatever. And he reminded me, man, that meant something to me. And since that day, I haven't been with you since. It's like all I want from here is to walk with you. But I need you to be a brother and an uncle to these kids. It's like, got it, man. And so what that seems to look like these days is like I'm Uncle Matt, to these kids. I'm perfectly willing to roll around in the dirt a good bit. I enjoy that. I don't have any kids, so I'm not terribly tired, most of the time. I'll be there tomorrow with them. And I can't wait. Makes me think too about like how my mother, when she first met some of you guys, my parents, they couldn't wait to meet you. They're like, what did she do with my boy? Like, he ain't the same. Like, they couldn't wait to meet you guys and to know you. Because of what had happened as a result of me being able to sit down here with you and you guys showing me the way through this. And so these days it's like, I don't know, man. Like, it's a simple life for the most part these days for me currently, right now, like. More recently, I seem to be turned back inwards into the amends process again. More amends to be made in places like Pennsylvania. So, did some harm up here too, It's hard to communicate kind of like what AA is or does, other than like this meeting is a place where we can come and just have this like powwow about the power of God and what that can do for a guy like me. This power that we meet through the 12 steps. And like if there's anyone in here that is suffering, the only reason we're here is to meet you and to show you what we do and what we've done to be recovered from one place and be taken to another. And to not get too lost in like what that means or what that looks like, but like we want to show you what we're doing here. It's like this ain't just like sitting around and one more day at a time type of deal, man. This is like we get free around here and get to live rock star lives. I spent the last 4 weekends in 4 different cities in the country, man. Like, this is about getting free and, like, helping others and walking with them and seeing families rejoin and seeing children come back to their parents, parents come back to their children, hanging out in Doylestown, PA, or Baltimore City, or wherever in between, I don't know if I would have ever come to Doylestown, PA without being invited, though, so thank you so much for that. Above all, this is, I want to thank you for my life, for this design for living, for being beacons of this path that we walk, for having the courage to tell me the truth, having the courage to sit me down and look me in the eye and walk me through this process, having the courage to tell me this isn't about your feelings, this is about actual recovery from actual death. And we're going to turn away from the problem and walk towards the solution, and all that other stuff's going to sort itself out. You won't even have to think it. Like, it will feel like effortless. It's just contingent upon doing a couple things. I want to thank you for carrying that message to me. That's the one I needed. Thank you for carrying that message to me. And we'll continue to walk. Thanks for letting me share.
Let's thank Matt one more time. Thanks again, Matt. Please be mindful. Our speakers come here at their own time and expense, so it's customary for us to form a line afterwards. Thank them personally. It means a lot to them. Let's thank Howard, our greatest AA coffee maker. Followed up by, I think we got the best chairman in all of AA, Andrew, and the rest of the crew. We had to go by here by names. And don't forget, we're on YouTube. These are all posted on YouTube, so if you hear something or, you can listen to it again, you can share it with other people. It's really important. And our Conscious Contact Speaker Group Facebook page connects not only this group, a lot of Zoom meetings, there's all kind of meetings. If you have any any workshops or anything going on that will benefit others in recovery, please post it there. We have flyers in the back there. Hopefully we'll see you on a Thursday and a Monday night in this church here. I believe we're on step 6 and 7 tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, I don't know who we have. Somebody from Bethlehem. Oh, little town of Bethlehem. Anyway, we got a nice way of closing. Don't forget the meeting after meeting. Thanks again.